Hello and welcome to the CNN News 18 Digital Special. I'm joined by Ayushman Singh Jamwal, and we are here to reminisce about the Matrix saga. The movie is releasing on 22nd December, but before that, we just want to take our viewers through what exactly the Matrix saga means for us geeks and nerds, and how exactly that has changed the way people look at not just their own movies and sci-fi, but also the world around them. So, Ayushman, your first experience when you watched Matrix, because when I saw Matrix 1, I was first of all taken aback by the tech that they use, the action sequences, the slow mo, bullet time, all that. But then the twist when Neo wakes up, that scene, yeah, that just took it away.
See, the thing about the first Matrix movie is that to us it was like the ultimate action movie. It was
Exactly.
such a fast-paced, slick, such like vivid colors, and it
Yeah,
was it's so well shot. It was like in that era the slickest action movie. Before that,
absolutely.
we were very used to the Michael Bay movies, the big explosions,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Con Airs, the
Face offs,
face-offs,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
all of that. And then suddenly comes this really slick movie with the Keanu Reeves, the guy from Point Break and everything,
Speed, from
and
speed,
Speed,
from
yeah,
speed.
Speed, and he's put in this different world, and everyone, there's such saturated colors, and the progression of the movie, the kind of like the development of the characters, it sucks you into the entire world. But to me, that was my first impression, that it was a great action movie. Little did I know they were scratching at the surface of such a beautiful and philosophically loaded story at the end of the
Exactly,
day.
exactly.
Yeah.
The whole blue pill, red pill,
Yeah, yeah.
mix that was in the movie. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that really impressed me about the whole Matrix saga, Ashman, was the fact that they actually, the Wachowski brothers, as they were called back then,
Back
they actually delved into something that was not, it was not something that people had thought of before. It was not something that people had bothered to even explore. There were a lot of other content out there. There were graphic novels, there were animes that were into this, but something like this, the machines could not just take over us, but control what we are doing. I mean, we are experiencing that today with smartphone and social media and all. But this was 1999 when the first Matrix movie came in. Like the closest piece of big technology that we had was either a VCR in our home or a good cordless phone in our house.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's about it.
See the philosophy. I always feel that that the Matrix kind of like tackled, which if you look at before Matrix, you had the first Terminator movie. Before that, it was always that the machines would rise and we would become their slaves.
Exactly.
This movie was so far ahead of its times because it showed you without you knowing the machines will take over.
Exactly.
Without you knowing, your entire life will be dominated and controlled by
Like you're
machines.
literally born into the system.
You're literally born into the system.
Yeah.
You're a slave to the system. You can't operate without the system
Exactly.
anymore. So human dependency is what something it explored, but to the extent that that is the nature of humanity. We want the comfort. We want the comfort, but you put a little bit of kind of like blockade on our freedom. A majority of the of humanity will
Right.
go in as sheep, but
Right.
there'll be a select few,
Yeah.
the rebels,
Mhm.
who will always rise against the system.
Exactly.
I think it's a classic Akira Kurosawa kind of a template, which it's told so many times, but for such a, I think after such a long time with this slew of movies that we got, which pretty much, if you remember, it was mindless action.
Right.
This was the first one which was action driven by narrative, driven
Exactly.
by character,
Exactly.
which was so great. But like you were saying, I mean, when we saw it, we were very young to get into the philosophy. We weren't that equipped.
Exactly. That's lingered on. Like people even today, like when they talk about Matrix, okay, yes, it was a slick action movie, great, like a great cast, an endearing cast, but the philosophy behind it, that was like something else. And then they decided to go ahead with the sequel and the threequel, as they would have called it. And you had Matrix Reloaded, and you had Matrix Revolutions. Now, again, there the struggle that they highlighted, that was mostly about how people are now learning to deal with the machines and the rebellion that you spoke about. how do you think what do you think was so different about the way they cast that narrative in comparison to the other sci-fi movies that we have seen, where humans are fighting aliens or humans are fighting machines like they did in Terminator?
I think that's a brilliant question. And why that's a good question is because I think when Reloaded started, it was I think they just stepped up their game when it came to action. Number
Exactly.
one, I
Yeah.
love the set pieces of that.
Mhm.
The remember those white guys with dreadlocks who turned into ghosts and all
Exactly.
that.
You remember that scene where the two trucks collide?
Two trucks collide
Yeah.
and everyone's
And
flying.
it's all
Yeah.
slow mo with
Slow
Neo
motion, yeah.
flying in.
Yeah, like the key maker, the set pieces with the cars, the bikes, and everything. It was amazing action movie. But what this movie achieved in its entire narrative, the notion of purpose, I think. It
Yeah.
just resonated
Yeah.
through Reloaded. What is humanity if not purpose?
Exactly.
Right? And one thing I think which sets it
In
apart.
fact, that's the same question that what I keep forgetting that Hugo Weaving's character
Hugo Smith.
Agent Smith keeps asking, what is your purpose? What is my purpose? And that is what
Absolutely.
helps him break. That is what helps Agent Smith to break away from the system.
Absolutely. And I think that is something. See, we've seen Ghost in the Shell. We've seen anime has gone from Isaac Asimov's philosophy. Anime has delved beautifully and deeply into it. The one thing Hollywood continues to struggle, in my opinion, even with the Netflix boom, is to replicate the anime philosophies into live action movies. They have failed miserably, in my opinion. There are very few movies to achieve that. Matrix achieved what Ghost in the Shell gave us in the anime space, in my opinion. And also because it delved into the philosophy of the machine. Like that scene, at the end of Matrix Revolutions where Neo is beaten. Smith has taken over the entire machine world. That scene where there's rain and they're walking and
Exactly.
there's spits everywhere. What a beautiful set design
Absolutely.
at the end of the
And
day.
that entire fight sequence.
That entire fight scene. And then his frustration.
Yeah.
Why are you getting up? Why are you fighting me? I've beaten you. And then he's like, can you tell me what it is?
What it is.
Because he just couldn't understand that aspect of humanity.
In fact,
And that's
even though Agent Smith had taken the form of the human being that he so wanted,
Yeah.
just so that he could understand the human psyche, he was still not able to comprehend what love was, because
What love was, yeah.
that's what he ends up asking Neo. That could it be for something as insipid as love? Yeah,
I still remember that line.
Yeah, that line, that entire monologue. That's one of the most classic things
And
that
the
we
background score builds and Neo
Yeah.
gets up. Why do you persist? And Neo says, because I choose to.
Because I choose to. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that whole angle about choice, purpose. I think it's something that people still struggle with today.
Absolutely.
And the Matrix saga actually delved into it back then, 2 decades ago, and they are still driving that narrative in some way.
Yeah, and it also, if you have to contrast Smith with someone, you have to contrast him with the architect.
Exactly.
That scene with the architect, when the architect made you, God knows how many times. Like how man versus God.
Exactly.
That entire theory also played out. With
Yeah,
where
this
he's
is
like,
the end of the second.
movie. Like I've made you 1,000 times. Now you have to choose. If you choose this, I'll do this. If you choose that, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And to the extent that how man spites God is what that scene also resonated. And I think to us it was, at first, you see the movie, oh, the movie's over. Then you think about it, you chew on the ideas.
Exactly.
And can I just tell you, Edwin, as you grow older and you delve more into life, that movie, it gains such a greater prominence in your life.
Exactly. Like you are able to better understand so many concepts that were there in a movie that was made 22 years ago.
22 years ago.
And okay, so now coming to Matrix Resurrections, trailers have been kick-ass, no doubt. I mean, there's been so much spoken about it. You have actors like from all across the world now. They've tried to make it as inclusive as possible. You have Priyanka Chopra there. You have Yahya Abdul Mateen taking over the role of Morpheus. What are your expectations from this latest installment?
I see. There is one thing I will never understand, with the rise of social media after Revolution and Reloaded came out, for some reason there became this narrative that those two movies suck. That the first Matrix is the only good movie, and Reloaded. I have never understood that, but I always feel it's the same way how when Blade Runner came out.
Exactly.
That was also panned.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now it's a cult, it's a science, it's a sci-fi
Exactly.
classic. You know,
Exactly.
it's considered, it's taught in universities, and people still talk about it as one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made.
Exactly.
I always feel that movies which are way ahead of their times, they just keep kind of like growing their mythology around them.
Do you
Just
think?
continues
But
to-
do you think the Resurrections will be able to match
I
Matrix?
hope so, because you have a Wachowski at the helm. My only wish is I hope the studio doesn't beat it up, like like we've seen now in so many
Yeah, in
movies,
so many movies.
and which is why now after every movie there's always like there's a campaign for the director's cut and all of that. I
Exactly.
hope that that doesn't happen in this movie. Where what Lana Wachowski this time, what she has envisioned, that comes out. But I hope they stick to the philosophy. My expectation from this entire movie is that I feel that the original Neo is gone, and I think, but they've learned from the original Neo, and they are trying to, and they identify the program which is supposed to be Neo, and they try to prolong his kind of like journey to find himself. I think that could be the theme of this entire movie.
Okay.
That by drugging him, by making him depressed, by making him aimless, they kind of like prolong his journey to find himself, which is why Morpheus and all come out. I'll tell you why. Because in the original movie, Morpheus is a hacker.
Yeah.
What Animatrix, the movie, remember, which delved into the philosophy, what it brought out was that the most exceptional people in society are the ones who can see the matrix.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, like, there's that story of that athlete, who runs
faster
so
than
fast,
man, yeah.
he sees the matrix,
Yeah.
right? So, and Neo was a hacker who saw the matrix code
Exactly.
in all his operations. But the trailer which we see with Keanu Reeves, he seems like a down on the luck, depressed guy who's up and about.
I think that this movie is going to delve more into how machine is perceived by us today.
Okay.
Like you have those scenes in the trailer where people are like constantly looking at their phones. You will have that scene where one of the soldiers who are like helping out Neo, saying that nowadays you don't even need a phone booth.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have all that coming in. So they're clearly going to show how social media is there, how it is present, and even the way they have recast Agent Smith here. Now, the way he is talking, the setup that he is in, he looks to be a CEO of a major corporation that is very much into tech. So I think the machines. So I think what they're trying to show is that they've taken the tech that exists today in our world, shown it how it works in the Matrix world, and how the machines are using that to control us.
Right.
And I think they're going to just expand on the possibilities, and while also keeping it close to home. With all the controversies that are happening around Instagram and Facebook, and
Absolutely.
that whole algorithm that okay, hate sells more than anything else. I think that is what they're going to delve into.
I agree with you that that will be a significant aspect of the movie, with how they will show that the machines crack the code, how humans are willingly giving themselves
Exactly.
into
Yeah.
digital slavery.
Yeah. Like there is no
Right.
rebellion.
There's no rebellion because
Yeah,
of this, because we are providing them this innate need to kind of like save their vanity, if you will, through social media, give them a sense of community, but no real community as such.
Right.
So I think that could be the push. In your opinion, is Neo, like the character of Keanu Reeves, is he someone, do you feel, who's dispossessed in that entire system, which is why he sees the Matrix again?
I think obviously without him knowing, the machines have pulled him back in, but somewhere he does realize things are different. But then with the coming in of Trinity,
Yeah.
he chooses to stay in that world because he's okay there, he's happy there.
So the love factor,
The love factor comes in,
Yeah.
but he chooses not the real world, but the Matrix to be closer to the one that he loves. That again brings this whole idea about how people choose to stay on social media because it makes them feel better than the real world.
But do you think that'll be the struggle, that at one point he wants to save Trinity, but at the same time Zion wants him back?
Exactly.
That would be the
the whole idea about the virtual world and the real world. I think
Yeah.
that will be the struggle where that they will highlight more in this movie. In my opinion.
How amazing was like the kind of like machine world that they created?
Absolutely, and
in
I think
the originals,
they've given it more detail in this
In this
movie.
one, yeah.
You can already see it in the trailers how much it is more clearer. There is more detailing, more
yeah.
moving parts. Yeah, so I think they're going to delve more into the machine city this time a lot.
Because in the original, like in the first movie, that freaked me out.
Yeah,
When I
exactly.
saw it, like the wires and the kind of like the
True.
things pumped into the spinal cord, and Neo wakes up from that goo, then the machine grabs him. And so
Exactly.
it was so visceral. It was so. But now we've
Exactly.
seen it so many times. I think
Yeah. So we know what we can expect.
there's no impact of that.
Well, I think time's up here for us. This was a great conversation that I could have with Ayushman. Matrix comes out on 22nd December. I don't know how many people are going to watch it because of what's happening around the world with the whole Omicron variant now spreading its tentacles. But if you are going to the movies, make sure you are safe, make sure you're masked up so that people on your left and the right, people sitting behind you, in front of you are safe. And yeah, have a great time. And we would love to hear what you guys have to say about the movie. So please put there in your comments. For now, that's it from Ayushman and me. Thanks for watching.